How are you? Good to see you. Hello, happy Sunday. Let me get the Instagram guys up. All right. I think we have everybody now. Today's a very exciting day because we're going to have sorry, my Instagram people, you're a little tilted. John T. Engel. We're going to have our video premiere of our video. I'm going to on YouTube, and I'm going to type the link to it and put it up there right at the top. There we go. So that's going to be at 6:15. We're going to do 15 minutes, 6:15 Pacific time. If I can type and talk at the same time on the link above. Okay. All right. So if you go over to the chat over on YouTube, or you YouTube people that are seeing me on the chat, you can click on that link at the top of the chat, and at 6 o'clock, from 6 o'clock to 6:15, I should say, 6 p.m. to 6:15 is going to be chat, and then 6:15 is the premiere of the video at that link. All right, let me get that. Sorry, guys. You're watching me type. That's not very exciting. Okay, but that's not why we're here. We're here to answer questions. So type in your questions in the chat on Instagram, on YouTube, and we'll get to them today. I feel like I can fix the Instagram a little bit. Sorry, you guys, you're tilted, and I can't get you to stand straight unless I put something. Aha, I might be able to do it. Hold on. That's a little better. My studio is not very fancy here. Let's just say that. But I do have my coffee today. No tea today, but I do have coffee to join you. You're going to join me with a cup of something? Something with caffeine, maybe? I'm having a little caffeine. And we're going to answer questions here about magic, about spiritualism, about law of attraction, about divination, about candle magic, about hoodoo, about Wicca. I can answer all those kinds of categories, and we'll see what we come up with. So if you have questions, type them in there now. What else is going on? We've got our retreat coming up January 7th through 11th. It's going to be exciting. Still working on the course content for that, but that's going to be exciting. Oh, and I have a big announcement today. I forgot my big announcement. My big announcement that I have said about, that I said I was going to talk about last week. Big announcement is we're going to have a launch party for Madame Pamita's oils on January 5th. January 5th here at the Parlor of Wonders. And we're going to have a live feed of that on Instagram and YouTube. We'll see, probably both of them. It's going to be on Saturday, January 5th. So I'll be announcing that a bunch of times before then, but that's the official launch date for my whole line of beautiful magical oils. And I'm very, 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 very excited about that. I hope you're excited, because I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Big party here. So if you're in the LA area on the 5th, come over to my shop. We're going to have a big to-do. There'll be music, there'll be food, there'll be drinks, there'll be oil samples given away. We'll have all kinds of fun. So better get down here. It'll be a good one. All right. So let's look at some questions. I see there's lots of questions. Let's go over. We'll start with Instagram today. Usually start with YouTube because I get with you guys first. But what do we have? Hey, Willow Moon says, so happy to catch you. Yay. Oh, so nice. Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to see you. It always makes me so happy to see your names and to see the same names show up over and over again. Loving that you're here. Oh, Leeds Hill is saying, hi, Madam Pamita, sending much love from New York City. It's chilly over there. My friend Chelsea was over there over Thanksgiving, and it was bloody cold, she said. All right, here's our first questions. Splenda44, tell us about Florida water. Florida water. Florida water is another tool, a magical tool. It's used in a lot of magical traditions. I know about it from the hoodoo tradition, and using it in hoodoo, we use it for contact with spiritual world, and we use it for spiritual cleansing. So when you want to do some kind of cleansing work, you can add Florida water to your bath. You can add Florida water if you're cleansing an object, a tool of some kind. You want to be careful with Florida water and you can make your own Florida water, by the way. There's a commercial brand, but you can make your own, and the recipes for Florida water out there floating around. But one of the things that with Florida water, it contains alcohol. And so you want to be careful with Florida water when you're using it around flame, because alcohol is flammable and alcohol can catch fire. So if you cleanse a candle with Florida water, which is the practice, sometimes people do that practice, you want to make sure that the alcohol dries completely before you light your candle. Otherwise, you're going to have a big, bloody, giant, crazy flame in your on your altar, and that is not necessarily the goal. Some people will put Florida water into a cast iron cauldron or a cast iron something and light it on fire intentionally. You got to be careful with that. It's doable. You can do it, not saying don't do it, but be aware that when you do it, you're going to create a big flame because the alcohol is flammable. So just be careful with fire and Florida water. But and sort of use it minimally and be very, very careful and very prepared. Maybe have a fire extinguisher nearby if you're going to do that, just to be on the safe side. But Florida water is used for spiritual cleansing. It's also for spirit work. Kananga water is also for spirit work. It's beautiful. Florida water, we can use it to attract spirits. It's got this nice spirit attractant quality to it. So spiritualists use it. And it also is a very cleansing water. So it has, you can make your own. You can make your own Florida water, but you can also buy the commercial brands of Florida water, and they smell quite cologne-y. It smells like cologne. It smells like perfume. So there you go, Florida water. So a little bit about Florida water. Let's look over at YouTube and what we got over there. Hi everyone. I was wondering, Catalina 211. I didn't say Splenda 44 asked about Florida water. Hi, Splenda 44. Sorry about that. Catalinita 211 says, hi, Madam Pimita. I was wondering about protection work while pregnant. Is that even a thing? That's a great question. You could do protection work while pregnant. I think of protection work being something you don't want to be doing all the time necessarily. Guys, some people can get into a very paranoid kind of place where they're always doing protection work. They're always worried about being spiritually attacked or something like that. And rather than just do protection work preventatively on the off chance that something might happen, you might want to do protection work based on some kind of alarm system. This one is a lovely alarm that one of my teachers taught me that I think is fabulous, which is that you get a thin silver chain, necklace chain, and it has to be a thin one, and you put a charm on it. A charm of some kind could be, a religious symbol. It could be a symbol that for you is a power symbol or a protection symbol, something like that. But get a little silver necklace, sterling silver chain with a sterling silver charm on it. And then on that charm, you want to add protection oil to that charm. You can do that about once a week, once, every 7 days, every 2 weeks, once every week to 2 weeks, you want to put some protection oil on that charm. Now, if your necklace, if that chain breaks, that's a sign that you are under some kind of attack, a spiritual attack of some kind. And then you would want to do some protection work, taking a protective bath, lighting a protection candle, etc. So the same thing applies whether you're pregnant or not pregnant or whatever. I would say no need to do protection oil unless you know for sure you're being spiritually attacked because you've gotten a reading or there's some other indication that you're being spiritually attacked, or you have that little alarm system on that will tell you that you're being spiritually attacked. Another way, there's another way actually of knowing that you're being spiritually attacked, and that's by getting a mercury dime, a silver dime, so a real silver dime. Mercury dimes are silver. They're also powerful because they have that liberty head that looks like Mercury, which is communication and so on, luck and communication. And put that Mercury dime in your shoe. Now, if the dime turns black, then you know that you're being spiritually attacked, that you've stepped in something or that you have some kind of spiritual attack happening. So that's another way to sort of have that alarm system up. But just protection work in general, if you're not being attacked, to me seems a little like a waste of materials and may not be necessary. But if you are being attacked, then you'll have these indications, the dime in your shoe, the necklace breaking, and so on. And then you know that you have to do the protection work. So that would be good. So same thing. I think that, if you were pregnant and you were feeling like things were not going well and you wanted to put up some protection, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But if it's just protection work because you think I should, might be a waste of materials, a waste of your energy. And that energy could be put toward, having a healthy baby, having a healthy birth, all those forward thinking things rather than the fear-based thinking, So there you go. All right, let's take a look over at Instagram, what we've got. Kaliera says, what's the best way to connect with my ancestors? That's a good one. Ancestor work. Well, I think first and foremost, you could do an ancestor altar, in your home somewhere. Now, an altar, I have a video up on my site about making an altar, a prosperity altar. It's not an ancestor altar. Oh, you know what? I just realized I have a spirit guide altar podcast episode. I think that's up there. I think. Take a look at my podcast on iTunes and see if there's one of the more recent ones. Sorry, I can't pull it out of my head and I don't know which one it was, but there's one about making a spirit guide altar. And if you look at that one, listen to that one, you'll get some good ideas about making an altar for your guides, which is your ancestors are potentially in that realm of your spirit guides. If you have that desire or that inclination that you want to connect to your ancestors, then you make an altar with images representing your family tree, the people in your family. Now, if you have photographs, you can put those photographs up. That's a great thing to do. If you don't have photographs, you may have artifacts that belong to them or something like that that represents them. Things that belong to them, photographs. If worst case scenario, then you could put, write their name. You might not have photographs. Like I don't have any photographs of my maternal grandparents because they died in the night. My grandmother died in the 1930s or 40s. And then my grandfather died in the 1920s. So they were poor people. So they didn't have, access to cameras and photographs like we do now, certainly. And they didn't have, the money to go spending on photo studios and all that. So I have no photographs of my maternal grandparents. So I can't put anything up of theirs, but I can, put up their names on their altar, and honor them in that way. So you can create an altar, that's like a spirit guide altar or an ancestor altar. Light a candle on it, put fresh flowers on it, offer little treats. Little treats could be alcohol, a shot of alcohol, a candy, a cigarette, a cigar, whatever that they would like, and leave those treats up there for them. And that's a beautiful thing to do. Lovely way to connect to them, talk to them, spend time at that altar, spending time with them. I have to say something. I just saw the movie. I know I'm late to the game. All right. But I just saw the movie Coco a few weeks ago because it was on Netflix and I was like, oh, let's watch this. And that movie is a gorgeous movie. First of all, about gorgeous Mexican culture, about that, which I love so much. And it's talking about spirit contact in that cultural milieu, So if you know a little bit about that, that's a beautiful way of thinking, and it's great for kids. Boy, if you have kids, I mean, probably you've already seen it if you have kids, but if you have kids, watching that movie, or even if you don't have kids, this is a great movie. Watching that movie will get you in that concept of how connecting with your beloved dead is not something that Western European culture, or white American cultures like, ghosts, scary, spirits, scary. This is a beautiful movie showing about that spirit contact and how positive that spirit contact is, and showing the land of the dead and how important it is to remember your ancestors. And it exposes people that may not normally see that culture to that cultural, those cultural beliefs in a way that is completely beautiful, completely a celebration of that Dia de los Muertos, rituals and honoring the dead and so on. So it's great. It's super great movie for kids, but it's a great movie for adults. So I recommend, if you're interested in your ancestors and you're interested in spiritualism and you're interested in spirit contact, to see that movie. And I can't believe that I didn't see that movie until just a couple weeks ago. It's like, I don't know. I thought, oh, it's a kid movie. And then I saw it and it was amazing. So anyway, back to making spirit altars. So make a spirit altar, connect with your guides, talk to your guides, talk to your ancestors, spend time with them. That's an important thing. But watch Coco too, because that'll give you some inspo, I think, in a lot of ways, just to understand about how that spirit contact and ancestor contact is such a beautiful thing. So, all right. So let's look over at YouTube. Hi, everybody. Sarah, how to attract new love into your life? Oh, Sarah, that's a great question. This is one, how to bring a new love into your life. There's a beautiful practice, which is before you invite that love in, it's kind of like you need to have this focus about what it is that you want to bring in. Maybe you've had relationships, or maybe you haven't had a relationship, but you want to bring one in, but you have some ideas about who it is that you want to bring in. What is important to you? One of the things that I think is a beautiful practice. Now, this one is an adaptation of something that was given to me by a beautiful spiritualist, Ainsley MacLeod. Ainsley MacLeod has a book called The Instruction, which is about past lives. It's a gorgeous book I really recommend for understanding past lives. It's an understanding our relationship to others. You may be an old soul, but how do we relate to young souls? It's hard to it's almost like there's a generation gap in terms of souls, and how do we understand them and how do we relate to them? But Ainsley had, I had a session with Ainsley, and he told me in that session about this practice of writing down a list of, he said 20 qualities, but I'm a numerologist. I love numerology. And so I was really inspired to make that 21 qualities, because 21 is a very magical number. It's 3 times 7, 7 being a very high vibration number connecting to divine energy, 3 being the number of creation, and 21 is 2, 1, right? 2, number 2 for 21, and the 1 for 21 add together to equal 3, which is another for creation. So when you're creating this romance, creating this love, that number 21 is quite powerful. So beautiful thing to do is to take a piece of paper and list the 21 qualities of your perfect relationship. Now, this could be about the person, it could be what the relationship is like, but what is it that you really want? Now, the beautiful magic of that number 21 is that it's not a list of 150 things, and it's not a list of one thing. You're actually having to get, some specific wishes down, but not so many that you get, this giant, enormous laundry list of things that you want. It's a number that's just in that sweet spot. So that list of 21, you can take that list, create that list, fold it toward you, and put it underneath your mattress, between your mattress and your box spring, or if your mattress is on the floor, underneath your mattress, right? Put that there because you want to invite this lover into your bed, right? This is where you want to bring your lover. Hopefully, you want to bring that lover into your bed. And so putting that in your bed is a beautiful way to attract that person to you. Now, what you will find is as you do this practice is that sometimes you'll meet people that are almost there. Like you meet someone and they're like, they got 15 of those qualities, but not 21, or they got, or you might, meet people who consistently have another issue that you didn't put on your list, but you're seeing, I didn't put on my list that I want someone who is health conscious. And here I'm meeting all these unhealthy people. That's putting in my mind that I want to bring someone into my life who's healthy, who's health conscious. And I want to take something off of my list and put that on my list. So you can revise this list over time and let it be sort of a refining process as you're creating this list and you're drawing this love to you. Now, that's one thing that I say that would be helpful for bringing a new love in. Another thing that is beautiful practice to do is to take cubeb berries. You know, cubeb berries are something, they're like a little pepper, kind of like almost like a black pepper, but they have a little tail on them. Cubeb berries are beautiful for drawing in a new love. So you can take a bath with cubeb berries before you go out, before you go into places where you could potentially meet someone, and you can draw those people to you. Now, another good practice to do if you don't want to go through the process of the bath or, you know, finding the berries. I mean, I sell them on my site. You can get them on my site. But if you don't want to deal with that, then what I recommend is starting that whole process with Look Me Over oil. So Look Me Over oil is to draw positive attention to yourself so that you're seen by others in a positive light. Now, it can be used, of course, in situations like jobs or auditions or things like that, job interviews and all those sorts of things. But it also is primarily for bringing in positive attention from potential partners. So you can look at and put that on yourself before you go out. You can put on some Look Me Over oil before you go out into the world. Then you'll have some choices and you'll start to see those potential partners. Then with that list under your bed, you'll start to refine and see, oh, that one's sort of good, but not quite. This one's, yeah, it's pretty good, but not quite what I want. And then you find your perfect match. So those are some tips on things that you can do. A new romance candle isn't a bad idea either. You know, you could light that with that. You know, you could put that list underneath your new romance candle and then put it under your bed afterwards. You know, that candle sends off a big, huge energy, a big rocket of what it is that you're wanting. So very good. All right. Lots of ideas for bringing in new love. One of my favorite things to work with, you know, I know a lot of root workers that don't like doing love work, but I love doing love work. I love doing love work. I love doing prosperity work. I love doing reconciliation work, which people don't really like to do, but I like doing it. Also, another little mini announcement. I had a hiatus where I wasn't working and doing candle spell work, but I'm back doing candle spell work. So if you are wanting someone to do candle spell work for you, all of the single candle spells are up and ready to go. About half of the complex candles are up and ready to go. So you can take a look over at my site, go to Parlor of Wonders if you want someone to do some candle work for you, and I'm happy to do it. Okay. All right. So let's see what we've got on Instagram. Hi, everybody. Oh, Automatic Paradise says, talk about 1111. 11 is a master number. Numerology. Since we're talking about numerology today, I guess it's a numerology day today. 11 is a master number, meaning it's that energy. It's a double number. It's 1 and 1 equals 2. So it's got the energy of 1. It's also got the energy of 2 in it. Energy of 1 is like the soul, that soul energy of the independent soul. And then 2 energy is connection to others, connecting, combining, and partnership. So we've got this strong energy of independence, and we also have connection to others. So 11 is quite a powerful number. Now, when we see double numbers, there's a or replicating numbers, they magnify. Whenever we see like 22, it's a magnification of the power of 2. When we see, and also brings in the element of 4, 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? But we also see those repeating numbers as they start to get bigger. They are magnified exponentially. So when you see like 1111 on the clock, you're seeing actually 1, 1, 1, 1. So you're seeing 1 magnified exponentially, which also includes the 1 plus 1, the 1 plus 1 of the 2 2s, the 1, 1, 1, 1 equals 4. So there's a lot of energy around that number. Whenever we see repeating numbers, we're looking at especially like if we're seen on the clock. So I'm guessing what you're asking is, if I see 1111 on a clock, what does it mean? This is one of the numbers that connects us up to higher consciousness, to divine consciousness. So when we see those master numbers, that really powerful 1111, 1111, sorry, not 5 ones, 4 ones. When we see those numbers, it's our spirit guides, the divine source energy, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, reaching out to you to send you a message. Now, I did a whole entire blog posting about, what repeating numbers mean. So if you go over to my site and go to parlorofwonders.com, go to instruction, go to my magic blog where I have a bunch of articles. The blog, you have to like go back to, previous, and then you'll get back to the one that's about repeating numbers. So repeating numbers in general that we see on clocks, on license plates, on addresses, and so on, or count. Sometimes we see them on counts, on, timings on videos, for example, or all kinds of places. When we see those repeating numbers, that's a message from our guides. So whatever we're doing at that time, whatever we're thinking at that time, our guides have a message for us. But if you look at it also numerologically, there's another component to that message. So let's say, for example, we'll go back to Sarah's message, question about new love. Let's say I'm thinking about like, gosh, I want to have a new relationship in my life. And as I'm thinking about that, I look over at the digital clock and I see 11:11. Then there's a message. Not only the guides are reaching out to me at the time that I'm thinking about this topic, but they have a message in the number that they're sending to me. And I have a whole chart over there detailing what those repeating numbers signify. So if you see 222, 111, 333, and so on, if you see those numbers, sorry, my nose is itchy. If you see those numbers, you'll know what they have to say about the topic that you're thinking about. They're reaching out to you about that topic that's on your mind or whatever it is you're doing at that time. And they're sending you a specific message about that because of the time that they're sending that message, right? So there's a beautiful, beautiful way that you can connect to divine energy, connect to your spirit guides, connect to your, deeper wisdom by seeing these numbers and acknowledging these numbers. Now, another thing that I always like to do when I see repeating numbers is I make a wish. I put an intention out. So you can, besides getting that message from your guides, you can also put a wish out related to that number. So when I see example like 222, I may make a wish about my relationship. Or when I see 444, I may make a wish about my prosperity or my career, my stability. So knowing a little bit of numerology when you see those numbers can be extremely helpful for getting more information about this, for understanding it, and also for being intentional, riding that wave of that energy when you see the 333, on your clock or on your timer or whatever. So look at that chart, go over to that chart. You'll see that handy chart, and we'll tell you about what each number means and what energy you can access at that time and what the message is for you at that time too. Okay. So it's a good handy guide over there. All right. So let's see what we have over on YouTube. Hi, Vivian. Vivian was over on the premiere last week. We're going to have our premiere again this week. Just telling you guys, I put the link at the top of the chat over on YouTube. Once we're through here at 6 o'clock, click on that link at the top of the chat and it'll take you directly to our premiere. Now for the first 15 minutes from 6 to 6:15, we'll be chatting in the chat area and then watch the video. All right, at 6:15, the video will come on. So Vivian says, hi, what do you think about domination spells? Are you okay with them? Is there a best moon phase to do them? I am okay with domination spells, but it's one of those things that I think should be used judiciously, and I don't think it is used as judiciously as it should be. There's situations, and here's the thing. In most situations where people want domination spells, they probably actually need something other than a domination spell, but they think they need a domination spell. But there are situations where you may need to dominate a certain person, or there may be, a justification for it. So let's say, for example, you are in a situation here. I'm going to give us a fake scenario of where a domination spell, where I think in my judgment that it's okay. Again, this is me, my judgment, my own checking in with my guides. You may have a different opinion. You may have your own guides telling you something different, but this is what my guides say to me. So this is what's right for me. Maybe it's right for you. Who knows? But with domination work, I'm going to give a scenario where domination is justified. Let's say you're working at a job and you have no choice but to stay at that job. what kind of scenario could this be? Well, maybe you're here getting your green card and you have to stay at this certain job to get your green card because otherwise you will not get your green card. If you leave your job, you're going to be in a precarious situation and you won't be able to get your green card. So you're at this job, you have to stay at this job, and you've got a boss who is mean to you and horrible to you, and you are stuck and you have no other recourse. You go back to your country, which maybe your country, you're a refugee from that country, and there's no opportunities for you there, or you're in danger there. So in a situation like that, a domination over your boss, I think is justified. You know, that boss is being mean to you and you want to be able to control that boss in some way. Maybe an influence spell, which is a domination spell, a mild domination spell, all the way up to domination spell. There may be a justified reason for that. But look at how very specific and narrow that example I give is. It's like there is no other option. I mean, you've tried maybe sweetening spells on your boss, you've tried everything else, and then you go to a pure domination spell. All right. That my guides will tell me is justified. A situation where I want to dominate this potential romantic partner, and I want them to bow down to me. Now, remember that that's a situation where I go, maybe that's not the best choice. You know, maybe there's something else you could do. I think people run to domination work kind of more frequently than is necessary. Just like people love to do, there's kind of trends in spells. Let's just say this. A couple of years ago, there was a trend in getting in tranquil spirit. Everybody wanted to do an in tranquil spirit spell, which is a really harsh, extreme measure. It's an extreme spell. A in tranquil spirit is basically what you're doing is you're calling in a spirit to make someone suffer unless they are with you. It's pretty harsh, extreme work. So I would have clients come to me wanting to do it, and I just say, I don't do that work. It's destructive work. It's not nice. There's a lot of other spells that you can get to have someone love you. There's a lot of spells you can get someone to come to. You don't need to do an in tranquil spirit to get someone to love you. And when you release the spirit, and when you're working with spirits, you're working with real entities. And if you're working with a spirit that's going to make someone miserable, you're working with a negative entity. I don't do that. So it wasn't, so I said, look, I don't do that. We can do something else, but I'm not going to do that because I don't do it. But domination work is something that I think is justifiable in some cases, but it's just, I think people try and call it in and do it maybe in cases where there's other things that would be more productive. If you have to get someone to be with you because you have them completely under your thumb, I think there's other issues that could be looked at. You know, maybe you're thwarting your own good outcome by focusing on that one person that you have to dominate and control. But there are scenarios where that's necessary. You have no other option. You know, you have a partner who is running around, and you have kids, and you have mouths to feed, and you need that person at home and with you. And maybe domination is the only way to get them to stay home. So there are situations where, you know, I always look at it on a case by case basis. And I don't ever say, I won't say I'll never do that. I never do domination work. I will do domination work, but it's, you know, a rare scenario that I do, much rarer than you might think. Is there best moon phase to do domination spells? I would say you're doing something to control. I would do it on a Saturday, and I would do it during a waxing moon. That would be the best days of the month to do it. So on a Saturday during a waxing moon would be perfect. Saturday is control, and waxing moon is bringing in something. All right. Let's see what we got over on Instagram. Sam Hurst says, best way to connect with my ancestors, please. Yes, we talked about that. Justin Delgado, hi. You have so many cute, you guys, so many cute little emojis for me. It's so cute. Justin Delgado says, what's the difference between Wicca and Hoodoo? There's a huge difference. Okay. Wicca is coming from kind of folk magic, European folk magic, that kind of Celtic tradition. You'll find Wicca is really based on modern Gardnerian magic, which came about in the 1950s. A lot of Wicca practices are relatively new, but there's a sort of lineage in that there's folk magic practices that kind of crop up in some of the Wicca rituals, right? So Wicca is generally like earth-based religion. It's magic and central to Wiccan practices is working magically, working with divination and so on. But going back to Gerald Gardner, Gardnerian magic in the 1950s, that's sort of the origin of modern day Wicca. But you can see some, there's not like a practice that's been practiced continuously. It's a newer religion, but there's definitely threads in Wicca that go back to ancient practices, whatever understanding we have of ancient practices, folk magic, folkloric magic, and so on. Now, and Wiccan practices kind of vary all over the place. There's generally like a pantheon of gods and goddesses, or or a representation of the god and the goddess. There's that kind of sort of general thing, but you'll find also feminist Wicca that only focuses on goddesses too. And my tradition of where I have come from is from that feminist Wicca practice where there was just the central focus on goddess energy and working with goddesses. So that's kind of what Wicca is about. Hoodoo, on the other hand, is African-American folk magic. And that comes from, there's definitely like these threads in Hoodoo going back to ancient, or not even ancient, but older African folk magic practices that were brought over when the slaves were brought over. They brought their folk magic practices with them, and they sort of evolved into Hoodoo practices, a lot of Hoodoo practices. However, Hoodoo incorporated, like many things, it's like a living thing that incorporates a lot of some European folk magic, some Native American folk magic. So there's an evolution that happens with Hoodoo. Hoodoo in general comes under a sort of a Christian umbrella. In its traditional form, it was, slaves were forced to be Christian because their masters were Christian. And so they, adapted under that umbrella of Christianity, their own folk magic practices within that paradigm that was enforced on them. So with Hoodoo practices, there's again a blending. With Wicca practices, there's definitely a blending, although it's more Eurocentric, and Hoodoo has roots in Africa. So you'll find things in Hoodoo that you won't find in European magic, like foot track magic, collecting of footprints, putting things on the ground to step in, and so on. It's a very, very pure Hoodoo thing. Why? Because that goes back to African folk magic. So it's an evolutionary sort of African-American magical practice under a Christian umbrella. And Wicca is its own religion that has a magical practice to it too. So the place that they cross over is that there's magical practice and there's folk magic practices that come in with both of them, but they're two different systems. They're two different origins. They're two different things, but there's a little bit of crossover there because of that folk magic practice. So there you go. All right. Let's see what we've got. Nicole Satchel says, hello, Madam Pemmy. To my question, what oils can I use on my Indian head penny? Oh, Indian head pennies are the best. I love them. So there's lots of coin magic, using coins for talismans. We just talked earlier about using a silver dime, mercury head dime, or a silver dime in your shoe to be like that kind of alarm system for protection if you're being crossed up in some way. Again, we're going back to that Hoodoo practice of something coming up through your footprint, through your foot, through what you step in. So you put things in your shoe. Okay. But, you use that silver dime in your shoe to see if that dime turns black, you know that you've stepped in something, literally or figuratively that's going to be crossing you up. So that's another, a coin magic thing. But let's talk about Indian head pennies. So Indian head pennies are used as, these are your kind of your scouts that are looking out for you. So they're very much used in protection magic. So we see practices, for example, of nailing Indian head pennies around your doors and windows as talismans to protect the openings in your home, to protect negative energy from coming into your home. We can also see the practice of putting an Indian head penny into a mojo bag because you're wanting to protect yourself, or you're wanting to protect your money or your assets or your health or something like that. So the Indian head pennies have a particular energy, is that they're watching out for you and protecting you from bad people coming in, from bad spirits coming in, from that negativity coming in for you. They're there to protect you. So, what you could put on your Indian head penny, of course, is protection oil. There you go. There's one thing that would be great. You might want to put a prosperity oil, because coins also have that element of attracting prosperity and protecting prosperity, right? You could put Indian spirit guide oil on that penny if you wanted to connect with the Native American spirit energy around protecting. Now, again, you could do this because you have Native American heritage, or you have been contacted by spirits that say, yes, you can work with us, or you've reached out to spirits and they've given you a sign that, yes, we can work with you. So if you're going to go in that direction, you need to do that preliminary work, of course, beforehand. But if you're not going in that direction, if you're just using your Indian head pennies to protect your finances, to protect your abundance, to protect your health, all of those things that coins represent, then you can apply protection oil, you can apply prosperity oil, whatever you want, and put that on your penny. You can keep it in your pocket as a talisman. You can put it in a mojo bag. You can put it over your door, over your window, whatever you want to do. So there's beautiful things that you can do with Indian head pennies. Put them around a candle too. I've done that in some of the videos. I think I've done that. So, all right, let's look over at Instagram. Willow Moon 33. Any spells or ideas to talk to Egyptian goddesses like Bast or Isis? So Bast is the Egyptian cat goddess. So she is represented by a cat. You see those images of like a beautiful, sleek black cat with gold, gold jewelry, gold earrings in her ears. That's Bast. So Bast is the cat goddess. And so a beautiful ritual for doing that would be to work with a lucky cat candle to bring in that beautiful energy of connecting with her. When you do any connection to any kind of goddess or spirit, if you're going to be doing spirit work, you can honor any god or goddess or spirit that you want. Honoring them is something that anybody can do, whether you have a connection to that goddess or Egyptian culture or not. You could put a Bast candle. You could get a black lucky cat candle, and you could burn that candle and honoring that goddess in that way, and being like, I'm just sending you honor, I'm sending you love, and all of that stuff, right? Working with Isis, you could work with an Egyptian queen candle, again, sending that honor and sending that love. Now, the difference is where we split our hairs here is if you are asking these spirit entities to do something for you, you're petitioning them for help, or you're asking them for help, that you only do if they say we can work together, right? So you see the difference? There's a difference between saying I honor you, and there's a difference between saying I need you to do something for me, right? If you went up to a stranger on the street and say, oh, you look amazing. You look amazing. I love your hair. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. You're honoring them, right? I mean, people will say to me like on the street, like, oh my God, your hair is amazing, because I got purple hair, so it stands out a little bit. But is it asking anything? No, they're just giving me a nice word. They're giving me honor. They're giving me something pleasant, right? Same thing with spirits. If you say to them, Bast, I love you and I think you're amazing, you can do that. Go to town, do that. But if you're going to ask Bast to do something for you, you need to establish first that she wants to do something for you. So I know that's not your question. I know that's not what you're asking, but I'm wanting to clarify for people because we've talked about this idea of connecting to spirit guides, and we've talked about the petition and asking and all of that. And I want to be clear between the difference of honoring somebody and asking them to do something. So if you want to ask Bast to do something for you, you first have to establish that she's willing to do something for you, right? So how do we do that? You ask Bast, do we have a connection? Will you help me? Will you work with me? And then you wait a few days to see if you get some strong signals from her. Now, if you're asking Bast for something, you're going to see cats coming in, weirdly coming in, cats coming up to you, cats, being in strange places or getting messages from cats. That's what you're going to get. You're going to see cats, or you're going to hear someone say the name cat, or you're going to get messages about it. But if you don't hear anything, don't take offense. You can still honor that spirit. You can still honor that goddess. You can still, make offerings, set up an altar and do that work, but you cannot petition them to ask for help. It's not rude. It's not mean. It's not them being a jerk to you. It's just they're not probably the right person for the project, right? When we have our spirit guide council, we have guides and guardians, and everybody has a job. There's somebody on your guide council who is there to help whatever your problem is. So if your problem is, I need money and I have a bill to pay and I need some money, you can go to the place of just asking whoever is the best guide to help me with my situation. Will you help me with a situation? And they'll help you. You don't need to know their name. You don't need to know who they are, right? But if you want to say, okay, Bast, I want you to help me with my financial situation, and she doesn't give you a response, it's not because she doesn't, she's a jerk. It's because she's not the right entity to help you with that situation. It's not her job. That's it. It's not her job, right? It may be you're not meant to work together. There's no big deal about that. So you can honor something, you can honor an entity, you can honor a spirit, you can make them offerings, you can do everything. But when it comes time to asking them for help with something, that's when you need to be careful. That's when you need to be in your, really be in the place of really being, I want to say, don't be rude. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Don't be rude, right? If a stranger comes up to you and asks you for $20, it's a little off-putting. It's a little hard. It's a little, it's not going to make you feel safe or comfortable or whatever. You don't know this person. You might not be the right person to help them, right? But maybe you are, or maybe you're not, but maybe, that may not be the right approach. And in some ways, if you're coming to a spirit without having checked in with that spirit, can we work together? You're kind of like being like some stranger coming up and grabbing you by the arm and saying, give me $20. It's like, no, so work with the spirits. Yes. In the sense of making offerings. But when you start asking, you better make sure that that spirit's the right spirit, and they will let you know. They will let you know if they're wanting to work with you, if they're the right person to work with you, right? Okay. So, so if you want to make offerings to talk to them, you want to connect to them. And by the way, they may want to connect with you and communicate with you, or they may say, no, I'm not the right person. I'm not the right entity. So just be open. I guess that's what I was saying. It's not about being rude. It's about being open to understanding that you may have an intention, but maybe that isn't the highest good. So be open with your asking, be open with that and see what they say. And then you can have that relationship with that entity. But nothing wrong with making an offering, nothing wrong with making an offering and sending love to those spirits, to the gods and goddesses and ancestors and spirits and people who have passed to the other side and, elementals or whatever. Beautiful thing to do. So, all right. Okay, so let's go over to you. I hope that answered your question. YouTube. Let's go over to YouTube. Stephen Seabrook, can I use Road Opener and Crown of Success together in a spell for inviting the progress and success I need for getting a new house? Yes, sure. Road opener opens opportunities and crown of success brings success. So it's a great combination. Absolutely. Um, I would also say add an element. You might want to add an element of prosperity magic if that is also the circumstances. If money is an issue around this, you might want to bring in a green candle or bring in some prosperity or bring in some money drawing if money is part of the element. You could add that element to it. All right, that sounds good. Sounds like a good spell to me. Hi, everybody on Insta. They put such cute messages. I love you guys. Wendy Pauline says, what's your favorite spell for reconciling with the past love? Depends on the circumstances. I don't know that there's one size fits all for for a reconciliation spell because there's lots of different scenarios. If you have had, if there's been an explosive, argumentative, angry kind of breakup, you may want to do a spiritual cleansing on that relationship before you even do a reconciliation spell. I certainly could say you could do reconciliation work with like 2 figural candles of of the representation of the 2 lovers, whether it's you or other people that we're talking about. But let's say it's you and you're inviting your lover back in, you would get a candle representing you, male or female, and a candle representing the person, male or female, that you want to bring in. But I would start with doing some clearing and cleansing. So you might want to start with some, or incorporate, if there's a lot of angry energy, some cleansing work in that reconciliation spell. You do a cleansing spell and then a spell where you move the 2 of you back together, or you have the 2 of you facing one another, those 2 figural candles facing one another. But depending on the situation, this is why I say, if people are if you're thinking about doing complex work, or you want some recommendations about what work would be best, it's useful to get a reading with someone who understands magic and who you trust. It could be me or someone else, but getting that reading before can help guide you as to what this situation needs. So there's not really one universal spell, but I would say like a lovers reunited, where we have 2 figural candles facing one another and we use herbs and oils around it, would be a kind of catch-all spell. A sweet reconciliation vigil candle also is very good for that. Candle energy is generally very good because it gives a big burst of power and maybe all the situation needs. But if that doesn't work with it, you might do a honey jar. You might do a mojo bag. There's lots of ways you can go. So there's not really one answer, but it's kind of like customized to the situation. But if I were going to pick one, I would say that lovers reunited, where you have 2 candles facing one another. We have herbs and oils on it, and we maybe have support candles that deal with the other issues of the relationship, the cleansing of it, the opening up the opportunities with the orange candle, cleansing with the white candle, protecting with a black candle, or whatever else we need around that relationship. But we generally look at blue candles for our reconciliation work because we're healing something. We're healing the relationship. We're healing the rift of whatever it was, whether it was angry or just drifting apart or location or whatever it was. But it's kind of like you have to customize it to whatever your situation is, and getting a reading sometimes gets to the root of what's going on in a pretty big way. So that's my recommendation. Domenica, hi. Hi, Domenica. All right. Domenica's coming to Domenica's the whole reason I'm having a retreat. What do you mean she's coming to the retreat? She's the whole reason. Domenica said, you need to have a retreat where you teach everyone magic. I said, okay, I'll do it one time. So I'm only going to do it one time, people. If you want to come and study with me, and people in Los Angeles, I'm right here. It's one time happening, one time only. So, but it's going to be January 5th. 7th through 11th. January 5th is the party that we're having. And then 7th through 11th is the retreat. So it's going to be 5 days of magic, 5 days of magic, which is going to be amazing. Learning about all kinds of things. It's all up on my website under instruction. if you look under Academy of the Magical Arts. All right, Domenica, what would you say is the best uncrossing or jinx removing spell? Oh boy, the best. Let's talk about that for a second before we get into the best. I've said, I think I've mentioned this before, but I have a colleague, Madame Nadia. Madame Nadia is from Eastern Europe. She's super funny. She totally does these funny videos where she kind of puts on a real thick accent and pretends she's like a Russian lady. So anyway, Madame Nadia was massaging her face with this massaging device and talking. She's very funny. She's talking kind of comedy video almost. She's talking about like someone coming in and saying, I want your strongest spell for love. And Madame Nadia said, what do you think? I give my shit spells to everybody else, and I'm going to give the strong one, the good one to you, but everyone else I give the shit spells to. There's no such thing as a best, a strongest, a whatever. It's particular to the situation. Just like you can say, what's the best medicine to cure illness? It depends on the illness, right? What's good for this situation may not at all affect that situation over there, right? So to say what is the best cleansing spell, it depends on what you're cleaning up. It depends on what you clean. Are you cleaning a location? Are you cleaning a person? Are you cleaning a love situation? Are you cleaning a luck situation? Are you what? You know, so there is no best, like this one is the best one and all the other ones are shitty cleansing spells. No, that's not how it works. It's particular for each situation. So again, like that reconciliation spell, what are we dealing with? We don't know what we're dealing with, so it can't fine tune it to say what's best for. There's a best for each individual situation. That's what I should say. There's a best for each individual situation. There's a best love spell for someone in this situation that it's going to be that you can't say that's the best love spell for that person in that situation, right? So the same thing with cleansing. We can say doing a cleansing bath. Certainly, if I were to say, like blindfolded, you need to give somebody a cleansing spell, I would say a cleansing bath. Do a cleansing bath over the course of 13 days, handful of sea salt, handful of Epsom salt, and some cleansing oil of some kind, Ban oil, uncrossing oil, jinx killer oil, Hindu grass oil, something like that, sort of a catch-all. But is that the best? I don't know their situation. You know, if it's a general one, so there's only best for each thing. Like there's no pill that magically cures all disease. There's no spell that magically fixes everything, no matter what the situation. You have to look at each person's particular thing and then prescribe it. That's it. So that's how it works. So the best uncrossing a bath, but that's, you know, that's not particularly fine-tuned for a person's situation. So, you know, I could say smudging could also be good. Lighting a candle could also be good. Depends on the person and the situation that they're uncrossing. But start with a bath. Why not? DPV. Oh, sorry. Going to Instagram. Sorry. Instagrammers almost skipped your turn. Curtis Nouchi, can you tell us a bit more about, we're almost out of time, about your forthcoming oils? Are they inspired by specific tradition or recipes? Yes, I've done amazing oils for you guys. They have power. They're beautifully take you on a scent journey. They're complex. They're multiple oils and fragrances blended together to make this a powerful, transformative sensory experience and magical experience. So January 5th, they're coming out January 5th, only a month away. And we're going to be releasing them with a party here in the store. We're going to offer discounts in the store, and we're going to offer those discounts on January 5th in my online shop, only for that one day, the big launch day. I'll talk about it next week. Remind me, and I'll talk about it next week. But these are really, really powerful oils coming from coming from a lot of folk magic traditions blended together, European folk magic, and hoodoo and lots of traditions put together, but these are amazing oils. I'm super excited about them. So that's my big announcement, everybody. Hey, come and join me over on YouTube because we're going to be doing a chat for 15 minutes. And then at 6:15, going to be releasing my launch video about color magic. Find out about color magic. There's a brand new video we're premiering and we can talk about it together. I will put it it's in the chat on the side of the video that we're on now, but I'll also put it in the comments on Instagram on this, comments on this, and I'll also put it in the comments over on this YouTube video. Somewhere you'll find it, or go over to YouTube and look for me and you'll see the premiere. You can sign up for subscribe to me on YouTube and click that little bell button and you'll get an announcement when it happens. Bye, Instagram people. Bye, guys. I love you guys. Love you. Love you. Love you. I'll see you next week. See you next week. Bye. Bye. All right, guys, YouTube guys, go over to the top of the chat. You'll see the link to the video premiere. We're going to go over there right now and we'll chat over there, but it'll be a text chat. But this is the place where if you didn't get your question answered, you can go over there and ask it. And we have lots of time, 15 minutes to answer those questions. And there's, it's going to be, you'll get your question in, I promise you. So see you over there. Links at the top of the chat. And I'm also going to put it in the comments below. Okay. See you in a minute. I'll see you over there. Bye.